The United States and Israel have not even yet been able to topple over Iran's government, yet we're already seeing Israeli propagandists on social media talking about the emergence of a new state in the Middle East called Kurdistan. So what's going on here? Because I thought all of this time the goal was regime change. That's what we've been hearing from the United States. Even they've been saying this is a regime change operation. This is a regime change operation. But now it seems like it actually was never a regime change operation at all. It seems like the goal was to topple the regime, but they don't actually want a new strong central government in place, even if that strong central government is pro-America and pro-Israel. What they want is a fragmented state in order to create the emergence of a new state using parts of Iran, Syria, Iraq, and even Turkey. And I'm going to make a whole separate video on that. Now, regardless of how ridiculous that sounds, you have to understand that there are individuals in Israel, Israeli officials, the Mossad, Israeli propagandists that are pushing this anyways. So setting aside how ridiculous you think that sounds, you have to recognize that U.S. Israeli foreign policy in the Middle East is actively working towards this, and I'm going to explain that in a really good breakdown here. So right now, this was just a post, and it garnered over 3 million views from a large Israeli propagandist account, and it says, "Greetings to our beloved Kurds. And in the independent state of Kurdistan, we are the moon, and we and the moon are neighbors." And you see here, there's this massive state called Turkestan. Crazy enough, you don't even see Turkey anymore. It seems like Turkey was taken over between Kurdistan and Greece. Again, this is ridiculous stuff, it looks like, but still, it's important we go over this. And then you see a map of Greater Israel, which a lot of you guys have already seen before, and Armenia also has this large region here. So why are Israeli accounts now even pushing this ridiculousness? What's going on here? Well, I want you guys to take a listen to this guy here. This is Avi Lipkin. He was Israel's former, he used to work in Israel's foreign ministry, I believe, for the military, or Israel's foreign ministry. So take a listen to this, because what it has to do with is actually biblical, just, psychotic biblical belief on Greater Israel. Take a listen.
Eventually, our borders will extend from Lebanon to the Great Desert, which is Saudi Arabia,
and
from the Mediterranean to the Euphrates. And who's on the other side of the Euphrates? The Kurds. And the Kurds are our friends.
So
we have the Mediterranean behind us, the Kurds in front of us, Lebanon, which really needs the umbrella of protection.
So it's freezing up a bit, but you guys heard it. He basically is saying the Kurds are our friends, and what's on the other side of the Euphrates River. So again, my feelings aside, first off, I want to say I have a large Kurdish audience here. None of my feelings are to be like, oh, well, I don't believe Kurdish people deserve a state. Kurdish people are a population of 30 to 45 million that don't have a state. So I'm definitely not saying that, but I'm just talking about the geopolitics of why Israel and the United States are working towards this. And there's biblical reasons behind it, and then there's also geopolitical interests in the region that are kind of now pushing for this. So here, what you're seeing here is a map showing Syria, Iraq, Iran, and large parts of Turkey. And the Kurds are a population of around 30 to 45 million people that inhabit this entire area. Now, in Iraq and Syria, they have basically semi-autonomous zones already, where they basically, fully control those areas. Recently, Syria was making a deal with the northern Kurdish region as well. So this is where Kurdish people already inhabit. In Turkey and Iran both have separate, strong central governments, so they don't have their own autonomous region like they do in Syria and Iraq. Okay. The goal here right now, though, is not regime change, like I said, but it's, again, the installment of a new state in the Middle East. Now, one of the largest Israeli propagandist accounts, okay, this guy, you might have seen him before, Mossad Hassan Youssef. He's always on Piers Morgan. He's the biggest Israeli propagandist. He's basically a Mossad agent, really. So why is this guy specifically now not actually talking about regime change in Iran, and instead, which is interesting, he's actually going back and forth fighting with Reza Pahlavi? And if you know who Reza Pahlavi is, he is the son of the Shah, who Zionists, especially Zionist Iranian Jews, on X have been previously stating that they want him to be the new leader. Even though he's massively unpopular within Iran, he wouldn't be able to hold the strong central government needed. But now all of a sudden, we're seeing one of the largest Israeli, Mossad propagandist accounts stating, actually, no, we want nothing to do with you. So Mossad goes on social media and he says, Khomeini was a tyrant, sure, but let's not pretend your dad was a saint. He jailed, tortured, exiled, and killed thousands too. You never once condemned him firmly, never owned up to the family's stolen billions while Iranians starved. How do you preach change when you're still whitewashed your own bloodline? And this final victory talk, killing Khomeini didn't weaken the regime. It lit a fire underneath. They're awakened now. Best case, they purge. Keep working hard, Your Highness. The harder you push, the closer we get to Kurdistan. Because that's what happens when you deny the Kurds and many others in the region. They'll take their peace and you'll be left with nothing but a crown and exile. And again, he goes on saying, Pahlavists keep peddling this fairy tale of the West. Most Iranians want the Shah back. Total lie. You've got a lot of different minority groups. And again, he keeps talking about free Kurdistan. And again, he keeps trashing him. And this is the guy that just, for the past few weeks, Iranian Zionists on X have been tweeting about the fact that they want the Shah in place and they want a new pro-West government. But now all of a sudden we're seeing Mossad accounts take a 180. And they're stating Operation Free Kurdistan. Free Kurdistan is the true path to peace and stability in the Middle East. And it has nothing to do, actually, with regime change at all. Well, that's interesting. And what they're basically stating, and one of the reasons now geopolitically, aside from the biblical reasons and everything else, these twisted beliefs that they had, they also want to install an ally in the Middle East, okay? And again, this is, Kurdish people are a population of 30 to 45 million. The reason I say that Israel and the United States don't care about Kurdish interests is because they're only doing things in the advancement of Kurdish interests insofar it advanced their own interests. Keep in mind, the United States backed Saddam Hussein during the Iraq-Iran war back in, way back when, what was it, the 80s, 90s? During that time, Saddam Hussein's government was also pretty brutal to the Kurds as well, and that was with U.S. backing. So they might be supportive of it right now, only insofar it advances their geopolitical interests. But it's interesting that we're seeing all of these accounts now start to mention this. And of course, again, here you see a massive portion of Turkey gone. So what's up with that? Turkey is a NATO member. They have one of the largest militaries in the world, massively strong government, strong military. So what's going on? This seems like a pipe dream. It seems like a fairy tale. It doesn't matter if it seems like a fairy tale or not, because this is what's actively being worked towards. Now, on top of all of this, something that people aren't really looking into as much recently is just 5 days ago, it looks like. When was this? February 23rd. Iranian Kurdish factions formed an alliance aiming to topple Iran's current government, okay? So there are Iranian Kurdish opposition groups, and these Iranian Kurdish groups, again, Iran's strong central government doesn't give autonomy to the Kurds. So there are Iranian Kurdish groups that are basically exiled in Iraq as well. And these are 5 different groups, and they formed an alliance recently, just over the past 5 days or so ago, and really with the ultimate goal of, again, advancing their freedoms. So several Iranian Kurdish opposition groups based in the Kurdistan region of Iraq have announced the formation of a new political alliance aimed at overthrowing Iran's ruling system and advancing Kurdish self-determination. In a joint statement issued on Sunday, 5 organizations declared the establishment of an alliance of political forces in Iranian Kurdistan, saying the move seeks to strengthen Kurdish political influence amid what they describe as a deep legitimacy crisis facing the Islamic Republic. So while all of this is being said as well, keep in mind, I was really deep diving into this. One of these Kurdish factions' main leader so far, and all of these Kurdish groups so far have not taken any action against the regime. They're being very patient. They also recognize that it's not in their interest to do so, especially if the regime is still, the Iranian government is still able to hold on to power. But there are these alliances being formed. Actually, if you go on the X account for Kurdistan, you'll see basically it's Kurdistan X accounts that are constantly posting updates and everything. You see that this is the goal here is to basically unite and coalesce the autonomous zones of Syria, Iraq, Iran, And then eventually, which seems like a pipe dream, and I'm going to do a whole separate video on this, is going to be Turkey right after this one. So it really never was, again, about regime change. It was about country fragmentation. I want to show you, I think I have one more post here that I wanted to share. Here it is. You have to understand that Israel's goals is to turn Iran into Syria. They will arm every group in Iran and pit them against each other until it becomes a failed state and decades-long civil war ensues. Israel's Middle East strategy is to create chaos, then seize territory. And you see here many different, many different flags and groups. And you see, again, Kurdistan. This is Iran's northwest region where they tend to have this Kurdish population here. So this is really what Israel's long-term goal is they want to place a new state in the Middle East that is an ally of Israel on the other side of the Euphrates, so outside of their greater Israel territory. They want to now, if they achieve their goals of overthrowing the current Iran regime, what they would like to do afterward is basically fragment Turkey. And they're already, and I'm about to make it this next video here in just like a few minutes, they're already stating that Turkey is the new Iran. This is for Israel's former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett. So whether or not this will actually happen, that's one thing, and you can comment and let me know your thoughts below. It doesn't, this video is not to tell you what's going to happen and the likelihood of it happening. This video is to tell you what Israeli interests right now are focusing on, what Zionists are trying to advance now on social media. And so you can really understand when things start to happen, when chaos starts to ensue. Remember, it didn't just happen randomly. This was planned out. There was intent behind all of this. So that's it for this video, guys. If you found it interesting, I'd appreciate it if you click the like button below, give it a thumbs up, and the subscribe button as well. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the